It's time for your latest news from the KQAM News Center. Brought to you by Continental Truck Accessories, 6701 South Broadway. Show your truck some love with Continental Truck Accessories.
Good afternoon, I'm Andy Hooser. Well, Music Theater Wichita opened up its first performance in over a year after being forced to close down due to COVID-19. And both for those involved in the program and the spectators say it's good to see entertainment again.
Right after the first pandemic in the 1920s, everybody started leaving their homes as soon as it was over, and that's kind of what gave birth to those roaring 20s. We were so excited to get out and do things, and I'm hoping we'll have that same excitement.
That was producing director Wayne Bryan on KWCH News. Some of the changes because of COVID-19 includes the shows going outdoors for most of the time at the amphitheater and a longer season that concludes in November. In other news, the Wichita Police Department is asking for the public's help in finding a man responsible for burglarizing the Westside Good Neighbor Center. Cake News reports that the suspect did steal from the food pantry over the past 2 weeks, with the first occurrence happening back on April 17th. They say most of the items that were stolen were pantry items, but at the same time had a stolen computer and pantry reports that needed to be restarted from scratch. It is an active investigation, and anyone with information can call Crime Stoppers at 316-627-2111. That's the latest news. Now let's go to sports.
The Kansas City Royals picked up another win last night as they continue to have the best record in baseball. They take down the Pittsburgh Pirates 9-6. Jorge Soler drives in 3 runs, and Kansas City off today. They travel to Minneapolis for a 3-game set with division rival Minnesota starting tomorrow. Even prior to the draft, we know the AFC West will have a new face at quarterback. The Denver Broncos acquired quarterback Teddy Bridgewater from the Carolina Panthers yesterday. Bridgewater is set to battle with Drew Lock for the starting job. From the KGSO Sports Desk, I'm Mason Voth.
Hi, this is Casey from eGraphics. eGraphics is well known for our premier Lumar window tint. We are also well known for our custom vehicle wraps for one or an entire fleet of vehicles. But did you know that eGraphics, just south of Douglas on Washington, is now able to help you with all of your printing needs? Business cards, brochures, flyers, and banners. And we also have an excellent reputation for top-notch graphic design. eGraphics, eGraf-X.
Bobcat invented the compact equipment industry. Now we're reinventing it with the all-new Bobcat R-Series loaders. Completely redesigned from the ground up, R-Series loaders are the most powerful, durable loader Bobcat has ever built. Experience unmatched power and performance firsthand by visiting White Star Machinery. We have the new Bobcat T66 and T76 in stock and ready to work. While you're here, check out the all-new R2 Series excavators. Give us a call at 316-838-3321 to schedule a demo today.
Starting today, we feel it is important to talk about the members of our Southwestern Remodeling family that bring your projects to life. After all, the quality of your home renovation and your overall experience is dependent upon the people that are involved. Our staff of 36 full-time craftsmen, remodeling consultants, and management team have a combined 500 years of tenure, which ensures the highest quality overall experience. Let the Southwestern Remodeling family show you the difference our people make. View our work at southwesternremodeling.com.
Market information, Mid-America Ag Network, taking a look at Kansas and Oklahoma's closing cash grain bids. It is Thursday, April 29th. We saw some downward pressure in a couple of areas and some upward movement in a couple of others. In the cash markets, we saw some wildly mixed numbers in the futures markets on Thursday. Let's take a look at the cash grains. We'll start at Goodland, Kansas. Wheat finished at $6.53, corn $6.78. Milo $6.63, soybeans $14.92. At Concordia, wheat $6.85, corn $6.43, Milo $6.28, soybeans $14.77. Sumner County $6.63 on the wheat, $6.48 on the corn, $6.43 on the Milo, and $14.90 on the soybeans. Garden City, the wheat $6.70, corn $7.08, Milo $6.98, soybeans $14.72. Fredonia, wheat $6.93, corn $7.26, Milo $7.27, beans $15.09. And at Belleville, Kansas, wheat $6.75, corn $6.63, Milo $6.18, soybeans $14.67. Oklahoma, Enid, Oklahoma, the wheat $6.84, corn $6.97, Milo $7.77, soybeans $15.08. Ponca City, the wheat $6.66, the corn $6.93, Milo $7.42, beans $15.18, and at Panhandle Hooker, the wheat $6.74, corn $7.18, Milo $6.93, and soybeans $14.52. Grab the calculator to do some math. Here are the averages. $6.73 the average across the two states on wheat. That's down 2. Corn finished with an average average across Kansas and Oklahoma at 686. That's up 10. Milo was at 687 on the average across Oklahoma and Kansas. That's up 5. Soybeans did not fare so well. $14.87 was the average on soybeans across the two states. That's down 11. So wheat was down 2, corn up 10, Milo up 5, soybeans down 11 on the day. Kansas and Oklahoma closing cash grain bids. Mid-America Ag Network.
Your local weather on KQAM. Brought to you by Derby Mattress. No dancing animals, no gimmicks. Your locally owned hometown mattress store at 105 South Baltimore in Derby.
Sunny and a bit breezy this afternoon in Wichita. We'll see a north wind at 10 to 20, gusts to 25. Going to be incredibly comfortable temperature-wise with a high near 76. As we head into the overnight, temperatures will drop back into the upper 40s. May want the jacket by morning. Lots of sunshine on the way for Friday, and temperatures warming again back into the upper 70s. With your forecast, I'm Cake meteorologist Frank Waugh.
That's your latest Cake First Alert weather update on the Big Talker, KQAM.
At 4:06, it's currently 76 degrees.
Fighting for freedom every day.
They are absolutely desperate to pretend the last 4 years never happened and for them to go back to what they like to do before, which is create these massive spending bills to pretend that it's really, really important to you when you only get about 5% of what's in the bill, and they can't do it because we're aware of it. We're paying attention to it, and they don't like that.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
I have to admit, I'm a little down right now. I was doing so good today. And then I saw some news literally as I was just coming on the air here, and I realized that maybe I'm not doing as good as I thought I was. According to Entertainment News, Last Man Standing with Tim Allen is going off the air, and May 20th is the last episode. I'm a little bummed about this. This was kind of the sanctuary for conservatives on like daily TV shows and sitcoms, and Tim Allen being a relatively conservative kind of guy. I'm kind of down. I was not aware of this, and I just found out. Now, I haven't watched the last couple of seasons. Honestly, I don't have cable, so I don't get to watch it really a whole lot, but I still get to watch the recordings of it and replays of it later on and watch it online sometimes, and I love the show, and it's all over. What a way to put a damper on the day. Hey, welcome into the program. Great. Thanks for hanging out with us, broadcasting live out of the heart of the nation here in Wichita, Kansas, on our flagship radio station all over the nation on radio and TV. Plus, we have our live streaming and podcasting thereafter as well. Thanks for hanging out, your Millennial General reporting for duty the way we do every day. Well, I know we got to get into it. We'll talk about the Joe Biden speech last night, and there's no shockers, there's no surprise. It's funny how yesterday on the show we talked about ways to defeat the Biden administration, to really counter the left-wing progressive agenda, and what we can do to promote conservatism and what we can do. And we still need to do that. We need to reinforce that mindset of what we talked about yesterday, because last night I realized you were not appreciated. I am not appreciated. Nobody in this country that works for a living, a blue-collar worker, is appreciated in any way, shape, or form. You are mooching. You are privileged. You are the worst person on the face of the earth. You need to be taking all of your revenue and giving it to the government, because that way they can redistribute it to people that don't make money or people that don't have nearly as much, so that way we can redistribute everything and live a happy, harmonious life of absolutely having nothing together. That's really what it came down to yesterday. The amount of crap just spewing out of the Biden mouth last night, I've never seen so much of that before. The amount of that came out of last night, I've never. I had to turn it off about halfway through. I could not suffer through the entire thing. We have some audio clips I'll try to play throughout the program today, because it was annoying. It was dumb. It was just completely inaccurate. And people that fall for it, I really feel bad for, because it was the most ignorant, naive message that I've ever heard in my entire life through a presidential or through a political statement. I've never heard such garbage in my life. I got to be honest. The message that he said, he tried to take credit for the Trump administration for what he did. Hey, we've done the vaccine thing. We are on the right track. I mean, according to Joe Biden, here's the state of our state right now.
100 days since I took the oath of office and lifted my hand off our family Bible and inherited a nation We all did. That was in crisis. The worst pandemic in a century. The worst economic crisis since the Great Depression. The worst attack on our democracy since the Civil War. Now, after just 100 days, I can report to the nation, America is on the move again.
That should be the sign right there. Do people actually fall for this? Like, legitimately, I'm really curious. Do people just kind of listen and like half listen and be like, oh, that was really nice. All right, that's not. Joe Biden actually spoke coherently. He must be doing something right. His dementia, they jacked him up with steroids today. He must be doing great. Is that where we're at, to where that was a success, or do people actually believe it? Do you know what happens in the first 100 days? Yes, you can sign legislation. Yes, you can try and pass bills. Yes, you can try and do things, but they don't take effect right away. You're talking about a nation with 330 some odd million people in this country. You think that you're just going to sign legislation and the day after it's already implemented, the agencies are set up, the laws are enacted, people are enforcing them, the shift has been made. It takes time for these things. He wanted to sign a bill to say that a commitment for the first 100 million vaccines under his administration. Guess what? The system was already in place for that to happen. When he took office, there were already 30 million vaccine doses that were already administered to people, on his way to 100 million. And it was like 100, 200,000 a day that they were already vaccinating by the first day he took office, before he even did anything. But yet he's the one that takes credit for the economy coming back. He's the one taking credit for the nation coming back. He's the one taking credit for the country opening back up, while he's criticizing states opening back up and say that that's Neanderthal thinking because we can't open back up. Give me a break. How does this make any sense in any way, shape, or form? The system was already in place. The system to distribute the vaccines, the system to talk to the health departments at the statewide levels, all of it was already in functioning system when Trump left and Biden took office. But he's saying that it's all coming back and it's because of him. Kamala Harris was, I guess, in Baltimore today talking at a vaccine clinic, saying that the economy was coming back because of him and what he's done and what the administration has done. Because Donald Trump screwed it up, we passed a bill, and now all of a sudden it's all hunky-dory. Like, if people really, truly fall for that, I pity you, because you have no coherent understanding of how the process actually works. And I want to educate you. I want to help you. I am here. We are here to try and bring you to the light. Come back to common sense and reality and basic reason. You do not have things shift on a dime like that. It takes months, it takes years for things to happen. When it comes to the economy, when it comes to legislation, you cannot just say, oh, you know what? I started a vaccine program yesterday, and look at that. We have 30 million that came in today. It doesn't work that way. Drives me absolutely nuts. And you knew he was lying when he said this right off the bat at the beginning.
But so many of us have deceased sons, daughters, and relatives who died of cancer. I can think of no more worthy investment. I know of nothing that is more bipartisan. So let's end cancer as we know it. It's within our power. It's within our power to do.
You know, if we could have ended cancer and actually had a cancer cure, we would have done it already, or maybe we wouldn't have. Here's the thing. I almost think he can do it. What? Joe Biden could cure cancer. And let me explain why. Let me explain. Hold on here. It's not just because he's going to have the magic cure. And he did run on this, by the way. If you remember when he announced for president all the way back when, about 2 years ago, he had said that he's going to end cancer because his son had died from cancer. That's a big thing. He had a cancer foundation to try and research cancer and try and solve it, whatever. Here's how he can do it. As you know, over the last 4 years, the big pharmaceutical industries despised President Donald J. Trump. I mean, he did lower pharmaceutical prices that Joe Biden did not give credit for, and he even said that. We'll talk about that later. But Donald Trump lowered pharmaceutical prices. He signed the bill saying that pharmaceutical companies are not allowed to charge any more than the lowest rate that they charge for anywhere around the world. They're not allowed. They find that lowest price. They charge that here in the United States. The pharmaceutical company was livid. All of them despised Donald Trump, to the point to where he was on the campaign trail a year prior to the election and said, I may have to step off the trail for a little bit. I may have to go back to the White House and kind of hunker down for a little bit because they're trying to harm me because I upset them so badly, meaning the big pharmaceutical companies. He upset them that badly. He was concerned for his life, and he made that statement publicly while speaking, I believe, in Cleveland one time. That's how bad the pharmaceutical companies hated him. So now that they funded massively Joe Biden to get him out of office because they were losing massive amounts of money, what's happened? We have a vaccine that's being subsidized by the federal government to give to hundreds of millions of people in the United States and worldwide for them to get the profit. You think it's actually free? At the pharmaceutical companies, like, oh, I just whipped up this thing that took me 9 months. It usually takes me years to do. I'm just going to give 500 million, doses of this thing completely free without any cost whatsoever. Here's our good donation to you. Andy, it's free. It may be free to you now, but the government's paying for those, which means they're subsidized. So yeah, the big pharmaceutical companies are now reimbursing themselves for all the losses that they had during the Trump administration with the COVID vaccines. Then they could say, you know what, now we have someone back in that's going to jack prices back up pharmaceutically with Joe Biden in office because he's our puppet. So you know what? I could almost see them, quote unquote, curing some forms of cancer because here's my conspiracy theory. Put the tinfoil hat on for just a second. I'm sure we already know how to get rid of cancer in many ways, but then you would lose patience of giving them chemo every couple of months and making $100,000 every time you do so in the medical industry. But if Joe Biden's in, sure, we'll throw him a bone. We'll release one of these. We'll be able to secure some form of cancer, and Joe Biden will be an absolute hero, and Democrats have saved the day yet again. I know it's a very malicious, very negative way of looking at the world, but I got to be honest, I totally see that actually happening. Just throwing it out there. That's my conspiracy theory of the day here on The Voice of Reason. But to make that assumption, I mean, people have said that they want to cure cancer. The other option that Joe Biden could do is really give the 10-year plan, which is what most politicians like to do. They're going to set a 10-year plan. Obviously, if he wins 2 elections, which is not going to happen, then he's only going to be in office 8 years. If he signs a 10-year plan, then after the 8 years, they're still working on it. They're still progressing. They're still doing really well. Then the next administration will come in, and they'll either extend it because they need more time, or a new administration from the opposing party will come in and end it, and then it'll be their fault that it didn't get done. It's how politics usually works. Just got to be clear with you. Got to be honest. It's how politics usually works. Put the goal date so far out that even if you're not in office, then it's not really your fault whether it happens or doesn't happen. If it does, then you're the one that started it, and you go down in history as a leader and as a great visionary. If it doesn't, then the other side just stopped my agenda. Welcome to Politics 101. I love it. At the same time, then he tried to say government, and I love people that try to argue with me on social media as well, that the government can actually create jobs.
Investments in jobs and infrastructure like the ones we're talking about have often had bipartisan support in the past. Vice President Harris and I met regularly in the Oval Office with Democrats and Republicans and discussed the jobs plan. And I applaud a group of Republican senators who just put forward their own proposal. So let's get to work. I wanted to lay out before the Congress my plan before we got into the deep discussions. I'd like to meet with those who have ideas that are different, they think are better. I welcome those ideas.
Now, if that were the case, he wouldn't have had Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris is Vice President of the United States, because I can just hear her right now in the Oval Office when a Republican, let's say Ted Cruz, waltzes in there, says, hey, I got a plan for you, Joe Biden. Let's try to implement this. We want to cut some taxes. We want to cut government spending, and we want people to actually have money back in their own pocket. And you can hear Kamala say, excuse me, that ain't going to work. You already know that's happening. So the whole bipartisanship, we can work together on this, I want to hear plans that people think that they're better, is a complete lie, but it's a nice facade for many politicians and people that fall for politicians to go along with, to be like, wow, he's so open-minded. Wow, he loves working across the aisle. Wow, he does so well working with other people. It's those other people that are just such close-minded jerks. He's pandering to the extreme progressive left-wing agenda. But regardless of that, the whole investment in new jobs, do you realize the government, this may be a shock to some, breaking news for those that aren't aware. Breaking news for those that aren't aware, the government doesn't create its own money. It doesn't. It just doesn't. It doesn't have money on its own. It does not have trees. It does not work. It does not create its own wealth. It takes money from the private sector. That's how it has fun. So when you say the government creates jobs and we're going to create all these jobs based on government incentives, you're creating construction projects, the infrastructure, building buildings, building highways, doing whatever. They're government projects that are subsidized with government grants paid for by your taxpayer money. So you're essentially hiring the contractors to do that job, but through the government that made it 3 times more expensive, with usually contractors that are just government bureaucrats to get the profits for most of it, and then the job's done halfway. So I guess that's job creating if you just want to cycle the money instead of create new money.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. Fighting for conservative principles seems more difficult all the time. The progressive left seems to find new and creative ways to limit freedom, abuse power, and trample the Constitution each and every day. That's why we need the knowledge, resources, and common sense to push back, and we can help with that. Visit our website at HooserReason.com. There's some really great stuff for you. You can read the latest blog discussing topical issues and current events. Let us know your thoughts by filling out our monthly survey. Keep track of what I might be doing or where I may be speaking. Listen to the podcast of your favorite guest or show, and check out our latest Voice of Reason product infomercials. Plus, you can find upcoming show schedules and guest lineups to plan your radio listening appropriately. And finally, make sure to become a Hoosier-holic by subscribing to the free newsletter. Stay up to date on the latest news of the show, fun facts of the month, and learn new ways to defend and preserve this great republic. It's all there at HooserReason.com. Again, HooserReason.com. Go check it out. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. Want to reach out to the show? A big part of the program is you, and we want to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts of the show, maybe a guest we've had on the program, or my favorite, when you disagree with something that I talk about. You can email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or send us a message through our website at HooserReason.com. The show's not about me, it's about you. So be heard and be your own voice of reason. Again, email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or find our contact information at HooserReason.com. Miss part of the show? Don't worry about it. There's plenty of ways to catch the program, and here's how you can do it. First, make sure to tune in every day right here on your favorite radio station. We're here for you. Second, subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite sites: YouTube and iTunes, Spotify and Google Play, TuneIn, Podbean, and more. Have the show automatically downloaded to your favorite device. Last, visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can listen to the podcast, catch our special features, and more. It's the Voice of Reason on radio, TV, and online, helping you defend and preserve this great republic. Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. The show's growing all the time, and as we talk about the big issues of the day, one of the big parts of the program is you. And I want you to join us on the program. Whether you agree, disagree, or just want to relieve some of that political frustration, we're here for you. No matter where you may be watching, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, go ahead and leave a comment on the live stream. Chat with other listeners and let me know your thoughts on the topic. Also chat with us on the Podbean chat room. Just go to our live stream of the show at podbean.com and chat with other listeners. You can also call into the program. Just download the Podbean app onto your smartphone, join the live stream, and call in through the app. This is your show, and we want to hear your thoughts. So go ahead and join us here on the Voice of Reason and the Hooser Media Network. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with the Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hoosier-holic by going to HooserReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hoosier Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HooserReason.com. For a schedule of upcoming guests on the program, daily show topics, or to reach out to the Hooser Media Network, visit us on the website at HooserReason.com. Or for general inquiries, to be a guest on the program, or to have Andy a guest on your program, email us at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Keep fighting for freedom with us every day right here on the Voice of Reason and the Hooser Media Network. Now, back to the show.
You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
I know we just bounced around to like 5 different topics on the Joe Biden speech last night, but those were the ones that really kind of stuck out to me as we listened to that. I know people have a hard time listening to what he has to say, and it's just so ridiculous. And I apologize for the majority of the listeners that actually understand this stuff as common sense. It's just we have to break it down sometimes for the others that, need a little help or need a little assistance, or maybe the light bulb just clicked on like, oh, wow, I never thought of it that way. That makes total sense in the world. So I try to break it down. That's what this show is really all about, and hopefully we can have a decent conversation. Look, as you know me, this is the voice of reason. I love dialoguing on the other side of the aisle. So if you totally disagree with my stance on these, you can always reach out to me. You can shoot me a message on the social media, email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Let me know. Be like, Andy, you are so full of it. You don't understand how this process works. I've heard that before. And then I like to have fun with it. So you can always reach out. And look, when I debate somebody, it's always civil. But right now, I just don't grasp the concept of understanding this. When you say government's going to create jobs and we're going to create all these job plans and all these job packages, it doesn't work. You're spending government money to purchase the contracts to get the job done. So yeah, they're getting paid, which I guess puts money into the economy, but it's coming from your taxes, which means we're printing more money that the government didn't have. We're using money that they took from you already to create the job. If I wanted the construction project, I would have paid for the construction project myself, not just pay through it through my taxpayer money to go to a bureaucrat to run through the system to get 40% of it to sit back and be like, haha, I did the processing and the transaction here. Here you go. We're going to pick the lowest bidder to do the job, and then we're just going to keep the rest of the money at the federal level. Like, to me, that just doesn't make any sense, and why that would be considered job creating boggles the mind. But left Democrats and progressives, they love government jobs. Barack Obama, he created jobs. 60% of all the jobs that Barack Obama created were public sector jobs, just expanding the federal government, expanding new agencies, expanding new departments, expanding the way the government functions and works. And he was like, yeah, look at all these jobs I'm creating. It's a great economy, and things are working, and it's really good. And I just signed this job creation bill, and people fall for it. They absolutely love it. So I know we're kind of bouncing around a little bit. By the way, at the bottom of the hour, in just a little bit, we're going to be talking with VERONIKA. I'm going to slaughter her name, KYRYLENKO. She's with the New American, and we're going to be talking about Dr. Fauci and Republicans refusing more so than other individuals to not get the COVID-19 vaccinations, to not wear the masks. We'll talk about that a little bit and go into COVID, because Joe Biden fixed the economy. Joe Biden is expanding the vaccines. Joe Biden created the vaccine, apparently, although he got it before he was actually president of the United States. But nonetheless, he's the one that did it, baby, so we need to praise him for that. So we'll talk about that here in just a little bit. But Joe Biden apparently also said that we have a one-time investment for free education.
For the future. In my view, we also need to make a once-in-a-generation investment in our families and our children. That's why I've introduced the American Families Plan tonight, which addresses 4 of the biggest challenges facing American families and in turn America. First is access to good education. When this nation made 12 years of public education universal in the last century, it made us the best educated, best prepared nation in the world.
Stop right there. My head's going to explode. That is not true. When we started the Department of Education at the federal level and we went public for the public education system, our educational quality dropped dramatically. We were at the top worldwide for our education in the world before the Department of Education was even founded at the federal level. When we started that, we started dropping down because it was about the administrative state. It was about this structured educational system. It was all about what the government wanted, and our education began to tank. We were at the top when we had the small little churches and we had the small little houses where we just got a bunch of communities together and people started teaching, and it was all quote-unquote, I guess, private schools to some degree, and we paid the teacher and got the resources and we did our thing. Then we created the DEA, Department of Education, and it tanked. It plummeted because the government got involved. Now he's saying we need to invest more into it to make it even worse, apparently. It's stupid.
The voice of reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser. While you listen to the delightful broadcast of The Voice of Reason, don't forget to check us out and follow us on all of our social media sites. Whether you're using Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Minds.com, or Instagram, we're there for you. Find us at Hooser Reason on any of your social media platforms. You'll see special commentary, links to the articles and news that we use on the show, and videos of the broadcast. Plus, you can directly send us a message on social media during the show to let me know your thoughts. Many already do, and it's a great chat room for all of our great listeners. And you can always sign up for the Patreon site to get exclusive content, maybe hear show products before we air them on the radio, and a lot more. And when you support us on Patreon, you also help the show be able to fight for conservative values each and every day. So it's a win-win. Just find us at Hooser Reason on all of your social media platforms, or you can find a link to all of our social media sites on our website at HooserReason.com. We know you're on social media already, so bring some reason into your day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Ways to find numerous different online talk shows, podcasts, TV, and radio programs, all in one simple online location for you. From political talk to health talk to whatever you may be interested in, we're here for you. And I tell you, it's growing every day. Catch Tracy Maxfield with her podcast, Engage, Educate, and Empower, discussing mental health issues in children and teenagers. From bullying, teenage suicide, addiction, ADHD, and so much more, learn from Tracy and her guests about symptoms, signs, and ways to talk to your children, plus so much more. Having battled depression, being the author of the internationally acclaimed book, Escaping the Rabbit Hole, and being a retired nurse, Tracy is kind of the go-to on the subject. Make sure to find her on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, along with her website at tracymaxfield.com. Also, make sure to tune into the weekly podcast Jump, Pivot, and Roll with Shannon Stiles and Rachel Murphy. Taking that next big leap of faith is hard. Trying to write a book, maybe struggling with a relationship, looking to take that next big career step. What's stopping you? There's a lot of big questions there, and they're questions that Rachel and Shannon want to help with you each and every week. It's Jump, Pivot, and Roll on any of your favorite podcasting sites and on Facebook and YouTube. All of these shows and a heck of a lot more can be found on the Hooser Media Network Facebook and YouTube channels. Make sure to follow and subscribe to check them out today. Follow all the shows, and if you have any inquiries, check us out at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with the Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hooserholic by going to HooserReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hooser Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HooserReason.com. Oh, hi. You know, conservative messages now are more important than ever before. Election season, state legislative issues, and a rise in the radical left socialist progressive agenda. What we really need now more than ever before is knowledge and wisdom. That's where we come in. Hi, I'm Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason, and I'm your voice for reasonable talk, conservative commentary, great guests and entertainment on radio, TV, and the internet. It's time to bring some common sense back into the discussion. National issues, state legislative issues, no matter where you may be, upcoming elections, and a heck of a lot more, we can bring traditional values, constitutional principles, and local activism back. And here's what you can do. First, follow us on all the social media platforms at Hooser Reason. You can watch the live stream of the show, leave comments, and even call into the program. Second, make sure to subscribe to the podcast on all of your audio devices, from iTunes and Spotify to Google Play and TuneIn. Make sure to subscribe to have every episode automatically downloaded so you don't miss a single episode. Third, make sure to visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can catch our monthly blog talking about deeper discussions, see who's coming on the program, plus you can sign up for our free monthly newsletter to catch the latest on the show, monthly topics, upcoming interviews, and more. It's time to be that local activist again. That's what the Voice of Reason's all about. Why? Because that's kind of the reasonable thing to do. And it's time for you to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason. Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. The show's growing all the time, and as we talk about the big issues of the day, one of the big parts of the program is you. And I want you to join us on the program. Whether you agree, disagree, or just want to relieve some of that political frustration, we're here for you. No matter where you may be watching, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, go ahead and leave a comment on the live stream. Chat with other listeners and let me know your thoughts on the topic. Also chat with us on the Podbean chat room. Just go to our live stream of the show at podbean.com and chat with other listeners. You can also call into the program. Just download the Podbean app onto your smartphone, join the live stream, and call in through the app. This is your show, and we want to hear your thoughts. So go ahead and join us here on the Voice of Reason and the Hooser Media Network.
When Reason Meets Radio. You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Darn right, you're all. Welcome back into the program. It goes by way too fast. We've had way too much to talk about and have fun with, especially after the speech from Joe Biden yesterday. And I know we kind of bounced around on numerous different topics, but it's fun, and I mean, we got to clear things up, right? Got to do our thing. Welcome in. Trying to cram that 10 pounds of reason into that 5-pound bag. Trying to rebrand the millennial generation, one radio listener at a time. Radio and TV, plus the live stream, plus the podcast that we have all over the country. So welcome into it. You can find us on our social media at Hooser Reason. You can find us on our website at HooserReason.com. You can find the podcast at The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser on any of your favorite podcasting sites. Joe Biden did say something I thought was kind of entertaining last night.
Let's give Medicare the power to save hundreds of billions of dollars by negotiating lower drug prescription prices.
Yeah. Apparently we forgot that Donald Trump had done that like a year ago, and then Joe Biden on day number 1 repealed the executive order with his executive order that actually lowered the pharmaceutical prices in the country. So now we need to do it through Medicare and Medicaid, because that's going to be their way to try and do the universal health care. Is really going to be, let's get rid of the lowering the pharmaceutical prices that Donald Trump did. So we have to do it through Medicare and Medicaid. So that way people have to go through our expanded Medicare and Medicaid program, aka Obamacare. And if you go through that, then you'll have lower prices for your pharmaceuticals. If you're going through your private insurance company, we're going to jack that stuff up, baby. We are going to make it so expensive because you're not going to get covered. They're not going to cover all the specialty experts. They're not going to cover the price of the pharmaceutical pills you need. We're going to jack that up. But if you get on the government stuff, it's going to be awesome. It's going to be great. It's going to be super cheap. And that's how they try and jerry-rig the system, so to speak. Let's get into what's trending today. What do you say?
What's trending today?
I am excited about our next guest here on the program as we talk about some of the healthcare stuff. We talk about the vaccinations, the war essentially between some Republicans and Dr. Anthony Fauci when it comes to the COVID-19 vaccines and the mask mandates and the social distancing. I mean, remember, Joe Biden did say that we're all Neanderthals because we said we didn't want to wear the mask or that we weren't going to get vaccinated and that we are opening up too quickly. And we can't be having that Neanderthal thinking, according to Joe Biden. She is a contributor to the New American Magazine, also a research associate at the defense consulting firm of Geostrategic Analysis located in Arlington, and she specializes in U.S.-Russian relations, which we definitely have to have fun with here on the program. Excited to have on here VERONIKA KYRYLENKO with us. VERONIKA, how are you, my friend?
Hi, Andy. Thank you for hosting me today. It's good to be with you.
It's great to have you on the program. I really appreciate it very much. It's wild to see this battle between Dr. Fauci and they say Republicans. I just say they're people that are just tired of listening to the contradictions that he makes left and right. But it seems to be kind of a battle going on between they try to call it anti-vaxxers, but the people that don't want to get the vaccine or don't want to wear the mask, and then Dr. Fauci. I mean, where are we at with all this? And will we see the majority of the population, do you think, get the vaccine at the end of the day?
Well, Andy, let me start that as of today, approximately half of all American adults have received at least one dose of COVID-19 vaccine, with about a third of the population being fully vaccinated. But it is noted that hesitancy surrounding vaccination remains very strong. Well, a couple of recent polls, they show that about 1 in 4 Americans say that would refuse the coronavirus vaccine, and the hesitancy notably stronger among Republicans. Well, it's found that 41% of people who identify as Republicans, including 49% of GOP-leaning men would refuse the vaccine, and it's very interesting because only 6% of Democratic-leaning men said the same. So yeah, Dr. Fauci, he said in a couple of his recent interviews that this is really frustrating, that people who refuse to wear masks, who are against the restrictions and against the lockdowns would not accept the vaccine because he says the vaccine would get us back to normal on one hand, but on a different occasion, like you mentioned, he flip-flops a lot. He said that even though you may be fully vaccinated, but you cannot go outside. You still cannot. Well, you can go outside. He says, because he said that you can go outside in limited groups without a mask with people who are fully vaccinated themselves.
Yeah.
So yes, it's one of the reasons that people refuse to get the jab.
Yeah, it's wild. I've never heard of you only can get herd immunity if you get the vaccine. The way I understood herd immunity is if you build antibodies to the certain virus or bacteria or whatever in society, and the large population already has it to where it's essentially ineffective. And you can do that either through getting a vaccine, or you can do that through getting the virus or getting the getting the bacteria, getting sick yourself, building up the antibodies yourself, and then having those antibodies to where you can't do that. Joe Rogan, I played this interview yesterday a little bit. Fauci, as you mentioned, had been doing some interviews talking about this in the bit of frustration. The podcaster Joe Rogan had made the comment that if you're young in your 20s and 30s and you're healthy and you work out and you do these things, it's not going to affect you, which, again, I'm 32. I'm not going to get the vaccine because there's no need. I'm in that percentile to where I have like a 99.5% chance that I'm going to be asymptomatic if I end up getting the virus. I may have already had it and don't even know it. And we're essentially fine because we're healthy. We take vitamins, we work out, we're young. I mean, our immune systems are strong. And Fauci didn't like that, and this is what he had to say.
Well, that's incorrect, Savannah, and the reason why is that you're talking about yourself in a vacuum then. You're worried about yourself getting infected and likelihood that you're not going to get any symptoms. But you can get infected and will get infected if you put yourself at risk. And even if you don't have any symptoms, you're propagating the outbreak because it is likely that you, even if you have no symptoms, that you may inadvertently and innocently then infect someone else who might infect someone who really could have a problem with a severe outcome. So if you want to only worry about yourself and not society, then that's okay. But if you're saying to yourself, even if I get infected, I could do damage to somebody else, even if I have no symptoms at all. And that's the reason why you've got to be careful and get vaccinated.
Veronica, that just doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, apparently we're just all selfish if we don't get vaccinated.
No, I think the Fauci is really outnumbered because the world, other medical experts around the world, including the experts who work for World Health Organization for what it's worth, they observed that asymptomatic transition was really very, very rare. But Fauci, he dismissed this notion as wrong. He said, this is not correct. He pushed for the lockdowns for everyone, even though previously he himself, just a couple of years ago, he suggested, before COVID, commenting on some other disease, infectious disease, he suggested that asymptomatic transmission exists, but he noted that it never drives the spread. So, again, Fauci is so inconsistent and so unprofessional that he is one of the reasons that Republicans and many other people across all political spectrum and demographics just don't trust him.
Yeah.
Whatever he says, he can reverse his recommendations and say something 100% different. And I mean, how can you trust such a person?
You just can't. We're talking with VERONIKA KYRYLENKO with The New American. You can find The New American and find her pieces on this. The quite frustrated Dr. Fauci on this one. Here's the question. Will the federal government try to enforce it by doing what they've done with the airlines already, where either you need to test negative for the virus or you need to prove that you have the vaccine? There's been some event centers in New York City that say you can't even go to the events, the concerts, the theater, the performances, whatever, unless you prove that you've already had the vaccine. Are we talking about, and do you think it's going to come to fruition with this side in power right now, where we're not going to be able to function in the general public unless we can prove that we've gotten vaccinated?
Well, again, Fauci himself once told that the federal governments will never force people to vaccinate, but it doesn't mean that there are no other measures that the government or employers can use to really make people needing a vaccine. Yeah. But as for now, they say that this is out of the question. But we're seeing Europe, and we're seeing Orange County, for example, in California, that's actually entertaining the idea of getting COVID passports for the population to get back to normal life.
It's wild.
Which is actually terrifying, given the safety issues that come with the vaccine.
Yeah. Oh, it's terribly dangerous, and it's weird the fact that we would enforce something like that. You must inject this into your body, or else you can't. Some even companies are saying you can't work here, you can't do this, you can't do that. It's wild. Here in the state of Kansas, where I'm at, I mean, we have, I guess, one of the lower rates of vaccination in the country. I don't know, 36, 37, 38% right now of the population that's been vaccinated, which the majority of the elderly, the ones that are prone to it, the ones that are in that demo of actually getting it more severe, have gotten vaccinated. But my generation, the younger individuals, the working class, really anybody under 40, 50 years old, really hasn't gotten the vaccine. And they're upset because they say we can't hit herd immunity until like 80 to 90% of the population actually gets this vaccine. And I don't think they're going to get it.
No, I don't think so. And this is why I think Fauci he will never get it, but he really likes the power that the COVID situation gives him. The Senator Rand Paul, he recently called him a petty tyrant, and that's what he is. Yeah. Just like, I mean, numerous medical experts, they just get this taste of real power. The power to let people be outside, to go and visit their families and loved ones. And yet again, he said that we're really far from normal, and this is really bad. It
is really bad. We got to take a break here, Veronika, KYRYLENKO. When we come back, I want to shift gears a little bit, and since you specialize with some of the U.S.-Russian relations, I want to talk about that moving forward and the transition from the Trump administration to the Biden administration. Get your thoughts on some of that as well. Got to take a break, wrapping up hour number one here on The Voice of Reason for a pre-Friday celebration. Covered a lot of ground. We'll come back. We'll recap some more of Joe Biden's speech last night. We'll talk about some foreign policy issues as well. All right, here on The Voice of Reason. Stay here.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser with The Voice of Reason. Fighting for conservative principles seems more difficult all the time. The progressive left seems to find new and creative ways to limit freedom, abuse power, and trample the Constitution each and every day. That's why we need the knowledge, resources, and common sense to push back, and we can help with that. Visit our website at HooserReason.com. There's some really great stuff for you. You can read the latest blog discussing topical issues and current events. Let us know your thoughts by filling out our monthly survey. Keep track of what I might be doing or where I may be speaking. Listen to the podcast of your favorite guest or show, and check out our latest Voice of Reason product infomercials. Plus, you can find upcoming show schedules and guest lineups to plan your radio listening appropriately. And finally, make sure to become a Hoosier-holic by subscribing to the free newsletter. Stay up to date on the latest news of the show, fun facts of the month, and learn new ways to defend and preserve this great republic. It's all there at HooserReason.com. Again, HooserReason.com. Go check it out. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Miss part of the show? Don't worry about it. There's plenty of ways to catch the program. And here's how you can do it. First, make sure to tune in every day right here on your favorite radio station. We're here for you. Second, subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite sites. YouTube and iTunes, Spotify and Google Play, TuneIn, Podbean, and more. Have the show automatically downloaded to your favorite device. Last, visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can listen to the podcast, catch our special features, and more. It's the Voice of Reason on radio, TV, and online, helping you defend and preserve this great republic. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. Want to reach out to the show? A big part of the program is you, and we want to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts of the show, maybe a guest we've had on the program, or my favorite, when you disagree with something that I talk about. You can email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or send us a message through our website at HooserReason.com. The show's not about me, it's about you. So be heard and be your own voice of reason. Again, email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or find our contact information at HooserReason.com. Oh, hi. You know, conservative messages now are more important than ever before. Election season, state legislative issues, and a rise in the radical left socialist progressive agenda. What we really need now more than ever before is knowledge and wisdom. That's where we come in. Hi, I'm Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. And I'm your voice for reasonable talk, conservative commentary, great guests and entertainment on radio, TV, and the internet. It's time to bring some common sense back into the discussion. National issues, state legislative issues, no matter where you may be, upcoming elections, and a heck of a lot more, we can bring traditional values, constitutional principles, and local activism back. And here's what you can do. First, follow us on all the social media platforms at Hooser Reason. You can watch the live stream of the show, leave comments, and even call into the program. Second, make sure to subscribe to the podcast on all of your audio devices, from iTunes and Spotify to Google Play and TuneIn. Make sure to subscribe to have every episode automatically downloaded so you don't miss a single episode. Third, make sure to visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can catch our monthly blog talking about deeper discussions, see who's coming on the program, plus you can sign up for our free monthly newsletter to catch the latest on the show, monthly topics, upcoming interviews, and more. It's time to be that local activist again. That's what the Voice of Reason's all about. Why? Because that's kind of the reasonable thing to do. And it's time for you to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with the Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hooserholic by going to HooserReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hooser Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HooserReason.com. Hey, I hope you're enjoying the program today. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite podcasting sites and have the show automatically downloaded to your phone or computer every single day. Just find us on any podcasting site or go to HooserReason.podbean.com. And be sure to check out our Patreon site, become the ultimate Hooserholic, and help us fight for conservative values every day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Now back to the national broadcast of the Voice of Reason.
You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Welcome back in. Thanks for hanging out with us today. The fastest hour of radio on radio, really, plus the live stream and the podcast wherever you may be. Oh, and TV as well. So we're pretty much everywhere, and we appreciate you hanging out the way you do every single day. Thank you for that. We are coming up to the end of the month. Monday, our newsletter comes out, so don't miss that. You can go to HooserReason.com. No I in Hooser, Hooser. Reason.com. Our monthly newsletter will come out. We'll have our new blog on there. We'll have some info about the show, info about the Hooser Media Network, info about what's coming up next month, what we've done this month. We are about to set another record for our podcast downloads on a month-to-month basis. So again, thank you for that. That's awesome. And you can always find us on any of your favorite podcasting sites. Wrapping up the program today, we have some interesting news just with the speech from Joe Biden yesterday, which again, I found extremely entertaining. I love how he did mention that we are going to have a one-time investment on education. That was fun. But overall, how's the State of the Union doing there, sir?
100 days since I took the oath of office and lifted my hand off our family Bible and inherited a nation, we all did, that was in crisis. The worst pandemic in a century. The worst economic crisis since the Great Depression. The worst attack on our democracy since the Civil War. Now, after just 100 days, I can report to the nation, America is on the move again.
Oh, man, it's hilarious. I mean, apparently they forgot the fact that we had a V-shaped economic recovery back in, August and September last year from President Donald Trump once we started opening things up again, once the vaccine was optimistic and things were starting to happen there. And we were already recovering, and the stock market was still breaking records last fall when Donald Trump was still in office. But we can't talk about those kind of things. At the same time, we've had a lot of change with our foreign policy as well from what Donald Trump, because remember, Donald Trump just colluded with Russians his entire administration in the campaign. VERONIKA KYRYLENKO, she's on with us here from the New American. Let's talk about, because that's kind of your focus and your area of expertise as well with some of the U.S.-Russian relations as well. The relationship that the U.S. has with Russia, what do you think we're going to see change-wise when it comes to policy between the Trump era and the new Biden era now? Is it going to get better or worse, do you think?
Well, I think, Andy, that there is an agreement in American political establishment between Republicans and Democrats that Russia is not the American ally. Mm-hmm. It's far from friendly, and it's been always complicated. Relations between the United States and Russia have been really challenging during many decades, and made worse by the Kremlin-backed invasion of Crimea and the ongoing military operations in support of the rebellious regions in Ukraine. Moscow's interference in the 2016 and the recent presidential elections, the poisoning of Russian opposition figure Alexei Navalny, and devastating massive cyber attacks on U.S. government and private computer systems, for which Russia has been blamed by the intelligence community. And this is true. So we've seen Obama administration imposing sanctions on Russia. We've seen Trump administration amplifying the sanctions even more, and stepping pressure on Russia, despite the 4-year-long smear campaign against Trump. It didn't happen. Trump was not a friend of Putin, despite him saying, wouldn't you remember that? Wouldn't be nice to get along with Russia, but it never happened. And then the Biden administration imposes new sanctions. But I'm really as a Ukrainian. I'm American, but I'm Ukrainian American. And I'm really grateful to the Trump administration that it provided the lethal help to Ukraine, something that the Obama administration never did. And it was really crucial in the conflict between Russia and Ukraine. So I will say that the relations will remain really chill. And you see that the Biden administration basically continues the sanctions that were started many years ago.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we can keep good tabs on them. It's an interesting relationship for sure, and at least, as you mentioned, Trump said at least try to work together, because why not try to work together instead of just causing more friction, which, terrible Trump for doing that. It's wild. VERONIKA KYRYLENKO, I appreciate the time so much. We got to get you back on the program again soon. I really love this. Can we do that?
Absolutely, Andy. Thank you very much.
Hey, appreciate it very much. Right there, you can find her writings there at the New American, and we appreciate her time. We'll get her back on the program. That does it for us today. Podcast up in a little bit. We'll be back tomorrow to wrap up the show. I believe tomorrow we may have a new Voice of Reason product infomercial. It's been a while since we've done one of those. Until then, it's time for you to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason. I'm Andy Hooser. Everybody have a wonderful Thursday. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. While you listen to the delightful broadcast of the Voice of Reason, don't forget to check us out and follow us on all of our social media sites. Whether you're using Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Minds.com, or Instagram, we're there for you. Find us at Hooser Reason on any of your social media platforms. You'll see special commentary, links to the articles and news that we use on the show, and videos of the broadcast. Plus, you can directly send us a message on social media during the show to let me know your thoughts. Many already do, and it's a great chat room for all of our great listeners. And you can always sign up for the Patreon site to get exclusive content, maybe hear show products before we air them on the radio, and a lot more. And when you support us on Patreon, you also help the show be able to fight for conservative values each and every day. So it's a win-win. Just find us at Hooser Reason on all of your social media platforms, or you can find a link to all of our social media sites on our website at HooserReason.com. We know you're on social media already, so bring some reason into your day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do.